Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the RTM Parks and Rec Committee regular meeting on Monday, December 5th. And we probably need to start with taking attendance. So I'll call people's names out. How about that? And if you can either raise your hand or say present, say present if you can. Sarah Baldwin? Not yet. Patty Baumgardner?
Here. Can you hear me?
Diane? Yes. Diane Conalog?
Present.
Cheryl Russell?
Present.
Okay. Del Coniff, Sue Ellen Mitchell's absent. Kim Kiner?
Present.
Andy Millar? Not yet. Sandy Savage?
Here.
Alyssa Mahoney?
Present.
Shannon Silsby? Bill Van Loan?
Here.
Alicia Johnson?
Here.
Where are you, Alicia? There you are, right in the middle.
Right
Okay.
here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, thanks. You can hear us okay?
I can. And listen, I started taking notes as the note taker. Is that what you want from me tonight?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you. That's fine. That'd be great. Thank you. Okay. First item or next item, I think we'll have to mute everybody except for me for right now. Approval of minutes of October 12th. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 12th? Andy moves. Cheryl seconds. Any corrections? All those in favor of approval of the minutes, raise your hands or say aye, Bill.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, guys. So next thing on the agenda is discussion and vote on the acceptance of a gift of $22,000 from Frattle Realty to assist in the playground replacement at McGuan Park. So everybody knows, I think you all know pretty much what this says. It's really straightforward. Particularly you guys that are on the playground committee, understand that we were we had $175,000 allocated through the ARPA funds to replace the playground at McGuan Park, and to keep it under $175,000. The Park and Rec maintenance folks were going to remove the old playground themselves, and they would have to do that in November. And in order so that it is not being done in November, and they needed more funds, and so that was the essence of the gift from Federal Realty that came through our first selectman, Monica McNally. And so what that will do, it'll cover the demolition that will now be included in the overall project. And I double checked with Pam to make sure that $22,000 would cover it, and she said yes, that would generously cover that. So that was that. That's just long and the short of it. So this is just a vote to accept the gift of $22,000. Did you want to say something, Patty?
No, that's it. It would have been over 175 if we had to pay Creative Recreation to do it. So the fact that our guys can do it, and we got this wonderful gift that Monica McNally, our first select woman, was able to help us with. It's a beautiful thing. And thank you to my peers, Sarah and Alicia, for all their hard work. We had 13 meetings, and we're psyched, and we're choosing the surface this week for what it looks like. But the whole contract was signed a few weeks ago, and we're good to go.
You are, and
Adele?
order. Yes. Yes, Bill.
Is the town of Darien doing business with this real estate company?
No, they're not. This is a gift from them to the to the town to pay for this, these costs to go toward funds for the McGuan playground replacement.
Do they own property in Darien?
Federal Realty is the group that's developing the area around Walgreens. So they're very close to where the, other than that, I don't know anything more than that, Bill. They're there. They're close to the McGuan playground area, and they're kind enough to contribute to the playground.
I have a feeling since the town has an obligation to be inspecting the way the work is done according to the regulations, this is a little unethical, I think.
I disagree. I'm 100% sure that Monica and the Board of Selectmen who've already voted on it and the Board of Finance who've already voted on it vetted all of that, or we would not be down the path with this.
Well, I had my say.
Thank you, Bill. Diane?
It's my understanding that the first selectman approached them. Is that correct?
I believe so.
That is correct.
Okay, so that they didn't come forward. I think, Bill, that the idea was that federal, if there are any families or small children in there, will be coming to use that little park. So I am really happy that they are going to give some money towards that, because I do think that that park is packed all the time. And it's going to be even more packed if there are children there. I do understand what you're saying, but I do think it was our first selectman who approached them, not them approaching her. Okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
So I have
Anyone
just
else?
one question also.
Yes, Kim?
I'm just wondering, are they expecting any signage recognition of their gift at the playground or elsewhere?
I don't think I know the answer to that question, actually, but I can find out.
Yeah, that wasn't discussed. At one point, the Lions Club was, there was talk about the Lions Club who had helped to do if you remember, because Diane lives nearby, Diane goes there a lot. The Lions Club was part of the playground the last time, and they generously gave us, money, and there was a plaque made for them, but there was not a discussion about that. But agreed, Adele and I can follow up and get an answer for you, Kim.
Great. Is there a Lions Club plaque there now, or did that
There
go
is
away?
from a
There
while
is.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
Where
like
is
at Darien Foundation, when they helped with the Weed Beach playground. There's a plaque down there for them.
I'm just wondering where it is. Is it on the playground somewhere or
But
nearby?
it's in
Close to the
front.
road.
If you pull up to the McGuan parking lot and you park right in front of the playground, it's in the grassy area before you
Oh,
get to the
okay.
surface.
Okay, so I would just imagine that the realtor giving us this current gift might want that kind of recognition or expect it, unless it wasn't ever discussed and you can just kind of blow by it. I wonder if that would be something we should address with them.
Fair question. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? I see you there, Andy.
Just one other thing here, though. They are only going to pay for the demolition. They're not paying for the rest of the playground.
That is
No,
correct.
Art.
No, the
So-
ARPA funds are paying for the playground.
Right.
Which is why well, we'll see. We'll follow up with that, but that was not ever discussed.
I mean, that's it's not a huge portion of the overall. Most of it's coming from ARPA. So
Correct. Thank
Correct.
you.
It is a significant gift, so that I would just imagine someone might bring that up at some point. So
Okay, I agree. I've got two people on that I don't have names for that are on the call if you want to.
Shannon is on. She was on and she
Yep.
got knocked off and she texted me that she had to reboot. So she's one of them.
Yep,
Okay.
2323.
Okay, so you think they're both you?
No, I think, do
Shannon?
you see one ending in 2323? That's my phone.
I don't see any numbers.
Okay,
I
let me
see
look.
just a face, so I don't know. An empty face.
That's probably me then.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't hear anybody else saying that they're on as well. So, and am I looking for the only person I could be Sarah? If it's
I
Sarah,
see Sarah
oh no,
here
I see
with a
Sarah. I
Sarah's
see
on.
Sarah now. So
Yeah.
you're on. Okay, so no, I think that's it. It probably
That's
was
me.
just you
Yep.
twice. That was it. Okay. All right then.
Okay.
Terrific.
Thank you. Thanks,
Super. I
guys.
think we were all here that thought we're gonna be here. Okay. Anybody with any more comments or questions? You saw what the warning looks like. So with that, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so are you ready to vote then?
Do you need me to move or someone to move the motion?
Right, I'm gonna read it and then you can move it. And I'm not gonna read the whole thing as we often don't do. I'm gonna just say a little bit of it. So since this gift is over $10,000, it needs to be accepted by the representative town meeting of Darien. Whereas the playground at McGuan Field is scheduled to be replaced, and whereas the town would like to leave the existing playground in place until the new playground is ready for installation, as it is one of the few accessible playgrounds. It is our accessible playground. All our playgrounds are compliant, ADA compliant, but this is our accessible one. It's the one where we have wheelchairs can use it. And whereas the phasing of the project would result in additional costs, and whereas Federal Realty wishes to donate $22,000 to assist with the playground replacement, the Board of Selectmen wishes to accept this gift, and the Town of Darien Board of Selectmen hereby authorizes the acceptance of this gift and directs that this resolution be forwarded to the RTM for its consideration and approval. Obviously, this is what the Board of Selectmen did. So I have Patty moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Cheryl raised her hand. So Cheryl got this one. All those in favor? Let's call the roll, shall we? So we can, because this is a proper vote. So that's Sarah Baldwin.
Yes.
Okay. Patty Baumgardner,
Yes.
Diane Conlog,
Yes.
Cheryl Russell,
yes,
Del Coniff, yes. Sue Ellen Mitchell's not here. Kim Kiner,
Yes.
Andy Millar, Andy, I couldn't hear you. Is that I can't hear you, Andy. I can't tell whether
Thumbs
that's
up.
a yes.
I think he
Is
was
that a thumbs
giving
up?
me a thumb.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Patty. Okay. Sandy Savage,
Yes.
Alyssa Mahoney,
Yes.
Shannon Silsby. I think that was a yes.
Yes. Yes.
Bill Van
That wasn't me,
Loan.
but here's my yes.
Abstain.
Okay. Alicia Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. So that the motion passes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 11 yes and 1 abstention. Okay, thank you. Okay, now let's talk about the Park and Rec operating and capital improvements and 6-year capital plan that they're looking at. There's a lot of paperwork kind of behind it. I don't know where you want. Let's start with the operating. Does anybody have any questions, particular questions about operating? You see that their major ask is this full-time program coordinator that will replace some of the part-time work that they workers that they have, and but there'll be an additional cost because they will have to pay for benefits. So, Diane, are you talking?
No. No, I'll turn my mic off.
Okay. Any questions, guys, about it? It makes good sense to me, but okay. I'm just looking at the operating budget highlights that Pam sent, or rather that were attached to I think the commission's things, which do a pretty good job of explaining these things. The other thing that increased is the fireworks budget, and I think that's because they cost about $35,000 every year, and they've had fundraising in the past, and there's some left over from last year of that fundraising, but there won't be fundraising this year, because the department will be completely in charge. There won't be an external fundraiser. So they're proposing to increase the budget for that. And then the following year, we currently have $23,000, and so she's asking for $15,000 in the budget, and then the following year the request would be for $35,000, unless someone comes forward and wants to do fundraising for it, or to the town that would like to pursue this in a different manner. That's the way it will be going forward. The lifeguards, they needed to raise the fees for, what they're paying them. They had a terrible time. They weren't alone. I think all the towns had trouble getting lifeguards this year, and nobody had enough, or as many as they wanted, rather. And so they're raising the rate from $15 to $18 an hour. There's an increase in the invasives removal budget, because they think the vendor, they're going to have to find a new vendor, and they think the vendor he didn't charge us enough, maybe. And at any rate, they're anticipating the budget, instead of this year it was 8,000, expecting to raise it to 16,000, and they're looking for a new vendor. We know about the revenue budget. So any comments or questions on what I just mentioned, or anything else that caught your eye on the operating budget that you want to ask questions of the commission before they vote? I don't see any. Okay. So let's move on then to the capital, which
Adele, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I was
Patty,
having a
go
hard
ahead.
time getting the microphone back on. I would just say that with the invasives, also recall that they're planning on expanding that to other parks. So I think that's why that rate also went up as well, because they had taken, they had a high number of invasives throughout the park, and they're going to kind of knock it off year by year. But they were going to take it. That's why I believe they doubled it, because last year they had asked for a lot more. Kate cut it back down because she said, just think about one park and make it a beta test. Since that was successful, now they feel that they can ask for more. So that's my only feedback. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. To that end, I just was over at Cherry Lawn today just because I wanted to see if they had done anything about the roof of the gazebo, which has not been done yet. But I did notice that the grass that was planted where the invasives came up has really took hold. It's good. It's vastly improved. So anyway, and still plenty left there to do. Don't get me wrong, but it's nice to see positive results when you spent the money. So that's good. So this makes sense to me. And I know you have another invasives meeting coming up, because we're not going to go through this later. So you have another invasives meeting coming up before long, like next week, to talk about it. Other highlights, highlights from the capital budget. These are the things that were in Pam's, written highlights, and then we'll get to Pear Tree. Okay, so I'll just go through this quickly. Solar pond aerator at Cherry Lawn for $18,000, which I thought I had forgotten that on the when we walked around Cherry Lawn, not this year but last year, somebody said, why didn't we use didn't have a solar pond aerator? And what had been holding Pam back was the fact that there was no electricity down to the pond, and so now that they do exist, and that's indeed what this is to aerate the pond, which is kind of brilliant. Another is evaluation of the Little League fields at McGuan Park for $15,000. 2 baseball fields and 1 softball field haven't been professionally evaluated since they were built in 2004 and need some. There's some problems with the grade changes. It has sunk in places, and they feel it would be really helpful to have someone who was an expert look at it. And so that's what that is. That's not what it would cost to do the work on the parks. That's just what it costs to have these inspectors come and evaluate it. There's $1 million in for the Weed Beach Meadow and Trail project, which is basically the phase 1, or it's the half. What I'm trying to say, it's the part where they're going to expand the beach. It's just the first part of it. No boardwalk, no extensive trails, just a trail around that meadow, clearing out the wetland, expanding the beach, and putting that walking path around that section, which we've all heard about. To replace the Weed Beach security gate for $50,000, which Pam has pictures, and it is indeed rusted out. Replace the Toro 4500D large park mower for $90,000, a stump grinder for $15,000, and a paint machine for $10,000. And they're waiting to hear back on estimates for the patio repair that needs to be done at McGuan. I think we saw that on our parks tour where it was cracked and buckling. And then at the last meeting, the commission added some pear tree numbers in, and they also adjusted. I think there's also put in money for the bid package for the meadow and trail. I'm not sure that was in there before. Maybe it was. I missed it if it was. And a commercial freezer at Weed, and then at Pear Tree, bid package to improve the site for, and that would be for $20,000, and a bathhouse renovation, furniture, landscaping for $50,000, and then small capital for $5,000 in general. The rest of it, I think they took. Let me see. Nope, that's it.
Adele, can I ask a question?
Sure.
On those bid packages for everything, I would just like to understand that process a little more. So if you could ask Pam to detail that when she's talking about it at the commission meeting next week or so, when they have their meeting. It just kind of blows me away that it's so expensive for a bid process. So
I think that's
maybe that's how it is, but I would like to know where those numbers came from.
Well, I think the numbers came from Weston and Sampson. That was his estimate. That was the estimate that he gave when we went through the yeah.
But I guess, do we ever ask someone else besides the people that have already done business with us? And you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that's just an estimate. They'd have to go get, they have to get bids, They'd have to get bid. It'd have to be bid.
No, I understand that. I don't understand why the bid process is so much.
Okay, fair enough.
Thanks.
So you want that pear and weed, yes?
Correct. Thank you.
Anybody else? Cheryl?
Yeah, I want to go back to this bid process. If you watched the last commission meeting, Dan Briggs is the one that said in order to get the bid package together, it would cost $20,000.
Mhm.
I sent Lori and Pam a note just before Thanksgiving, and I haven't heard back from them. They were away and doing Thanksgiving, and I didn't get to it today. I wrote them a note suggesting that they go for a special appropriation for this $20,000 now and not put it in the budget, which would prolong this process for another 2 years. So I'm waiting to hear back from them on whether or not they're going to bring this up at their December meeting, and hopefully I'll be there and hopefully we can have a discussion on this. If you put this in, or if they put this in the budget, it doesn't come due until May or July of 23. Then it's going to take, I forget what Dan said, so many weeks to get it together, which gives us to the end of 23. And then we're into 24. And that means the spring of 24 and then it's go out to 25. So, Dan said it would take 6 to 9 months to do the parking lot and the boat ramp. And the beach would be closed most likely for that amount of time. So if we started right after September and we work it out with the boat club as to when people can get their boats in and out, because the beach is going to be closed down. The other thing I want to say about this is, yes, it was very nice of them to put $50,000 in the budget for landscaping and furniture. And here we go again. It's July when this budget comes due, and we don't see anything probably for next summer either. I would prefer, and then we have, they put in $3 million for the renovations and possibly in next year's budget, which would be the 23-24 budget, spreading it out. I personally, and this is my own personal feeling,
No, yeah. This is the
I
23-24 budget we're looking at, yeah.
right. So then it would be the 24-25 budget, which is again spreading this out. Personally, I would like to see all this money put in this year's budget now, because if we put it in now, we're looking at 23 coming due in July. It gives us an opportunity to be ahead of Great Island, because I think once Great Island starts to come into the process, Pear Tree is going to get pushed aside again. So my feeling is I've waited a long time to have anything done down there. As most of you know that have been on the RTM with me forever, I want to get it done. And Mike said that he was on. Mike Scrow, who's the chairman of the building committee, said that, we still need the building committee to help usher this through some of the process. But I think that it would behoove the commission to put the money in the budget this year so that we can move forward a little bit quicker. That's where I
I
stand.
agree with Cheryl on the 50K, where we're talking about, improving the bathrooms, the landscaping, the Adirondack chairs. I always thought she was going to be putting it in operations. So I'm rather surprised that it's in capital. And I think that was part of our, Cheryl was part of the Pear Tree Point survey group, and that was a lot of the feedback as well. Sandy Savage was part of that, some of the others. So for me, that completely makes sense to be in under operations and maintenance, not under capital. I get that it's over a certain amount, so maybe that's required Adele, you could address that per Kate if it's required that it goes in, but then that completely delays us for at least another, 12 to 15 months. And also on the bid package thing, exactly, if we're trying to move forward, that those bid package things should be in appropriations.
Well, whether it's in the, it'll, it's in the budget, whether it's in maintenance or in the other, it's
Mhm.
still, you can't do it till after the 1st of
Till
July.
July
But yeah,
1st. Yeah.
yeah.
But if they put if they go for the 20,000 now to the Board of
Yes.
Selectmen and the Board of Finance, that gets moved up where Dan can get the process moving and get the
Correct.
bid packages ready to go out to bid, which
Right.
means we're moving this along next year.
Right. Now, what do you all think that moving two large projects along in 1 year? Because obviously the weed, they've got the same thing in there. I can't believe that they're not going to change. They're going to move some of the stuff around when they talk again about this
Yeah, I
budget
think
thing.
the selectmen and the Board of Finance will weigh in on that.
Well, I suspect even the commission will do that too. But I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But right now, as it stands, weed is in for the weed process begins this year in this budget that we're looking at right now, and it has its not only all of it is in this budget, so that's a $1,050,000. Yes, $1,050,000.
And they did meet with the Darien Foundation recently to talk about getting them back in as a potential partial donor. So we'll see how that goes. So perhaps that price can come down, but there's no guarantees. I think Lori feels strongly about including that because, we've owned Short Lane for so long, and she was involved in the first round on things to do on that. So I doubt they would yank it from the commission because she feels strongly from that. I don't know about once it goes beyond that.
Sandy?
Here we go again. Pear tree is just going to be pushed to the wayside and weeds just going to
Yep.
continue to improve.
I hear you. Anybody else before I go back to Cheryl?
Just why it's important to get the maintenance, that 50 grand needs to be done at Pear Tree, separate from the dredging and the parking lot. I mean, let's maintain that building to the level that it should be maintained.
You see,
Guys,
they
it's
also put in.
Shannon.
Cheryl?
Yeah.
Okay,
Adele?
hang on a sec. Okay, Bill first, and then Shannon after you. Okay, go, Bill.
What do we have to lose going with what Cheryl suggested? Nothing.
Correct. In my opinion, too. Yeah. But yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. If you maybe you make it easier for someone to boot it out. I don't know what's the best psychology here, but I hear you.
Well,
I
if they're
hear you.
they're voting it out one way or the other, unless we try to get them to come around.
Shannon?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, just thinking bigger picture that with another property, a gigantic property coming online and clearly two existing beaches, waterfront properties to manage, perhaps there needs to be an investment in more staff to manage all of this, or at least a project management expert to help move, particularly the Pear Tree project. I hear you loud and clear that needs to get done to move these things forward more efficiently. I mean, with more resources to manage, we need more resource to manage it.
Sounds good.
That makes sense?
It does.
Could we take a sense of the meeting on this and forward it to the commission?
Sure, but we have to
What
make
Cheryl is
sure
proposing?
that we move it into okay. I'll let Cheryl do her proposing, and then people
Yeah.
can say, okay. Cheryl?
Did Weed Beach, what would it cost just to do the parking lot? the dirt parking lot and pave that. Does anybody know what just that would cost? Because
With
to
200
me, that
That
would
was
be,
taken out.
That was
That
taken
wasn't
out.
even, that was one of the things that got carved back. They carved back the boardwalk and they carved back the paving of that. And the focus was to more further develop the physical short lane property that we purchased.
Right.
well, that's too bad. Because my thinking is clean it up where they have a trailer in there and they have rocks and it's all a mess in one area, and clean that up and pave that dirt parking lot and call it a day until Pear Tree is done. Because like Sandy said, here we go again. Weed Beach at the top of the list. And just because we've had Short Lane, well, we've had Pear Tree for a heck of a lot longer than we've had Short Lane. And we've been waiting for clean sand and trees and things to be done down there heck of a lot longer than we've had Short Lane. So I'm not going to support this budget as it's written this year. I want to see what the commission's going to do in December and see where they stand. But I want Pear Tree done first. That's the way I feel. I'm up to here with it, and we do have a building committee. I don't know who just mentioned, having extra people to help out. The building committee can oversee this. We do need some new members on there that I'm sure Monica will, and this Board of Selectmen will maybe revise it or put it back together in some fashion where we could get a couple more people on it. But the survey spoke loud and clear as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, I'm over Weed Beach. I'm just over it. But that's my personal opinion, and that's my personal feeling. Now, Adele, do you want me to make a motion that we do
before we do that, let's hear from some of the people that haven't said anything. I think we've heard from Bill, we've heard from Sandy. Alicia, did you have any opinion on what you think about these projects and how you think they should be sequenced?
Thank you. Hi. Yeah, I actually think we should really clean house before we move forward, truly. So, and Great Island for me is a big question mark. Like, I don't know what actually is going to happen with that. I'm not sure who suggested another member of staff, at least. Who was that actually that
Shannon.
spoke?
Shannon.
Shannon.
It was
Shannon.
Shannon
Thanks,
Silsby.
Shannon. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of up in the air what's happening there. And I think that it's potentially we should just sort of take advantage of the confusion there and just really push to get these projects that have been a long-term goal, just get them accomplished. And then if Great Island goes forward, great. And if not, we will have accomplished what we've been trying to do for a while.
Okay. Alyssa?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like all of these new ideas keep coming and all of the projects that had been on the docket just keep getting pushed back. And I don't understand why the new projects seem to be taking priority. It doesn't make sense. Pear Tree really does keep getting bumped. So it needs to be addressed and taken care of first before we move on.
Andy? No, I don't know if I can hear you. I think your audio is just not working, Andy. Sorry. Okay. Sarah?
Yeah, hi. I'm definitely in agreement with everything that everyone's saying about Pear Tree. I think my biggest concern is that what might happen, and not that we have control over this, sorry, is that they end up giving us like 10,000 for Pear Tree, and it's kind of like, here you go, do something with that. So I'm almost like, I'd rather push for we get what we need to get it done versus just like scraps, which is kind of what it feels like, right? That we just kind of get a little of it, just a little. and it's supposed to keep us happy, or whoever, people who are really passionate about Pear Tree getting the attention that it really needs. So I think that's my biggest concern. So, I could see the 50,000. I could see them being like, yeah, here's 20, here's 10, good luck with it. And we all know that's not going to go far. It's just not going to, especially if we're spending 20 for a bid package. I mean, 20,000, that'd be great, to go towards the the 50, we got 70. I mean, like 20,000, can make a huge difference. So that's definitely my concern, but I'm definitely in agreement with Cheryl. I feel like we've got to give a big push for Pear Tree and just show that we're all kind of behind it. Not that we don't love weed also, and weed, I'm all for improvements there too. But yeah, I just think, Pear Tree is just going to keep getting pushed, unfortunately.
I see, Shannon, you have your hand raised?
Yes, Adele, thank you. Let me stop my screen sharing. My thought is this: I completely agree that weed needs to be fixed. But I think it's this language. It's, are we serving the needs of our community with the shape that Pear Tree is in right now? It has to always come back to meeting the new needs of the entire community. And if we keep, developing weed, weed will, of course, then not end up meeting the needs because it'll be so not overused, but heavily used, and people will need to shift gears and go to Pear, and Pear won't meet their needs either. So this is about balancing community need, and that needs to be done through wise fiscal deployment, right? So we don't believe at this point that is happening because Pear Tree keeps getting kicked down the road. There has to be a decision made somewhere, perhaps those wonderful increased revenues from all the great programming, and they need to bite the bullet and get the work done in the same year, but figure that out so you can meet the needs of your community now.
I hear you.
That's
Well
how I
said.
think about it.
Okay, well said. Kim, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement with all, and that Pear Tree needs to be a priority. Having gone down there on our tour day, I was even more impressed with the fact that it needs to be done before anything else. I think one of the things that my impression was, like, not to sound too harsh, but it really was. Pear Tree is a bit of an embarrassment compared to all the other parks. In terms of the shape that it's in, that it really just looks neglected. And that, in fact, seems to be what's happened, is that it is neglected because the other, brighter, shinier objects and, the bigger beach and the bigger dollars, are going around with weed and elsewhere. And it shouldn't be the other, it should be the premier, beach. It's just just because it's smaller, it doesn't mean it should be in disrepair and for that long and get pushed aside. So I'm in agreement with everyone but it really should be brought to the attention of, we can't let this go any longer. It is really just bare minimum needs to be, these things need to be repaired so that it's a decent representation of Darien and our beaches and parks. So anyway.
Okay. I'm assuming that the commission must kind of agree with us, or else it wouldn't have gotten put into this budget at their last meeting. But I think if we would like to make a resolution now, I think we've gone through and talked about it. Or do I have a sense of the meeting that we want to put Pear Tree first? Is that really what I've just heard? Maybe we don't have to have a sense of the meeting.
Yes.
Okay. All right then. We'll do that.
But we'd also like to have the $20,000 be done now and as a special appropriation so that we can move forward during the winter. So if they get it through January, through the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, then we can get this done in February and March. The bid package.
So I just want to be clear that the 20 grand for the bid package, I'm asking Cheryl and Adele really to confirm this. That 20 grand, I mean, that's for the bid package for the parking lot, for the big part,
Yes,
the parking
yes,
lot and for the
Boat
boat
ramp.
ramp. That has nothing to do with our ability to get the building itself up to the level of fit and finish in the bathrooms that we discussed, some landscaping, some Adirondack chairs, and making it a little bit more wheelchair accessible closer to the beach. Is that correct?
That's
correct.
correct, Patty.
Thank you.
This permit that we got is only for the parking lot and the boat ramp. And the permit is good for 5 years. But, 5 years from
Yeah.
now is
Yeah, I
anything.
saw that meeting too. I just wanted to confirm that that's what that 20 grand bid package is for and
Yes.
reiterate the 50 grand. I mean, that like, let's get that done, let's get the maintenance of the building done.
Well, she has, Adele, I didn't print that budget out. In next year's budget, not this 24 budget, she's got $3 million in there because that was a rough estimate. That's not any kind of, cast in stone figure. To do the parking lot and the boat ramp. And then what else did she have in there in the 24 budget? Move it out
So
a year.
I mean, 24, 25, there's,
Oh, the 20
they put the renovation to the building and that, basically
Okay.
that was another estimate to
And
that.
Right. And
also,
how much was that for?
It was 170,000.
170. That's right. Okay. So if we put, I'd prefer that this $3 million go into this year's budget. Because if we get the
That's not
bid
gonna happen.
package, if we get the bid package done, then we have the money to move forward and go out to bid and get the true figures on how much it's going to cost. And then, so that would be in 23, and that would take us to 24 and get the work done in 24 rather than 25, 26.
I hear you. So what you want to do is move up the process, to accelerate the process.
Exactly. So can we do a sense of, do you want to do it in two parts, the 20,000 as a special appropriation and send that as a sense of the meeting vote, and then ask them to move the 3 million and the 170,000 into this year's budget also and do a sense of the meeting vote on that? Or do you want to, how do you want to handle this?
I wasn't going to do a sense of meeting at all. I was just going to convey our
Okay.
thoughts that we want the process moved up. One of the ways of doing that is to go for the $20,000 as a special appropriation and to move the project forward in the budget cycle. I don't feel comfortable doing it any more strongly than that. Let me know if someone really does, if you think I'm off base there.
No, I think that's fine, Adele. You say that for the committee because the committee has just discussed it. If I feel that I want to get up and say something else at the meeting, I can do that. As a member of the building committee too, because
Right.
we are still in process and we can move this forward and give them the help they
Absolutely.
need.
I did want to say, anybody that hasn't watched the commission meeting or hasn't heard the presentation that Flaherty gave at that meeting before, if you haven't heard it before, you should take the time and watch that, because it's a pretty comprehensive and compelling presentation of how to save Pear Tree Beach. Having said that, I will not be at the commission meeting. I am going to go to see Rigoletto in New York City. And so I will write this down and So you all will be at the meeting for me, won't you? But I will write some comments down to this effect, and you guys can reiterate it. Okay. Anybody else? Diane, did you want to say something?
No,
Okay.
I think I did. Basically, I agree with everybody that this should be expedited over the Weed Beach project. But I think that I would like to say that too. I would like us to maybe say that what we have talked about tonight. And, you know, you don't want to do a sense of the meeting, but
I
could we
mean, we
do a
can do it.
sense of the meeting to say that
Bill,
we would like
hey,
this
Bill, I think you got to,
expedited?
I think somebody's got to turn off their mics except for Diane here. I'm getting feedback here. Okay, that's it. Go, Diane.
Because they may even be watching this, that we feel that this project should be expedited. I don't like to really get into the $3 million at this point when we're talking about the Weed Beach Meadow and Trail, but that we feel it is a more important project at this point than the Weed Beach project.
I think they need to do both projects. They've got to
They
do
do.
both.
We do. Indeed.
Sorry, there's no choice. Find a way to do both.
Uh, Alicia, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, hi. I'm just asking from a place of naivete because I'm taking the notes. So are we calling this a sense of the meeting opinion or a resolution that we're sort of agreeing on? Sorry.
It would be a sense of the meeting if we're going to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Would you folks like a sense of the meeting that we would move this project? We want like the commission to move this project forward by going for special appropriation for the $20,000 and moving the whole project forward on their time in the 6-year plan. We would like it done before or at the same time as wheat. I see nodding heads. Does that get everybody? Okay. So that's a sense of the meeting. Okay. All right. Anything else on the capital, folks? Any other comments? That's it. All right.
Adele?
Yes, Patty.
Adele, one last thing. I kind of recall Pam saying doing two big projects at the same time might be difficult. So if, it feels like we're saying pear tree is the priority. So if, we'd like to see them both get done, but if we have to do one, pear tree would be the priority. So if there's a way to insert that into the language you're sharing, I think it's important.
Okay. Okay. I see not, nobody's saying no, so I think we agree on that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Where are we, folks? Let's see. Chairman's report. We've talked a lot about what I might have said. Most of it goes back to the what happened at the last commission meeting. But I did want to say that we have a couple of housekeeping things that we have to do. First, it is, let me get a clean piece of paper here, guys. We need to decide whether we're going to meet remotely or in person or a mixture of the two. And as of last week when I was inquiring, we had the capacity to do either. So I don't know if that's changed in the interim, but that's what it was. So what would you like to do? Anybody want to speak?
I will go for remote.
That's Sandy's for remote.
I'd like to propose maybe some
I'm
remote
from
in
a
the winter.
remote also.
I would just like to propose that maybe we do the winter months in remotely, since most people are, the virus may increase and people are traveling and going south and so forth. But come the spring, maybe late spring, they start turning into in person, because there is
Yeah.
a great value to me anyway, personally, in seeing people in person and speaking in person. I think you lose a lot with this Zoom, but I recognize the convenience of it for all of us too. So
Yeah, so maybe first quarter. I agree. I think that's a good call. And then you revisit it after that.
Well,
I know
I
you
have
have
a
to book
feeling.
the space, but
I think I do. I can do it right now, but but things fill up. I mean, I was talking to Mike Wheeler, and there were like 5 meetings tonight. You know, so we were good. We got in. We got the go to meeting. Um, the RTM go to meeting. One of them. So, but we want. And I think I can still do that. But like I said, and also there is space in the rooms, the larger rooms, if we want to meet in person. But that's a good thought. Isn't that? Does that sound good to people? Like that maybe wait until April or
Yeah, I
May
agree.
before we
April,
go in
because it's
person?
before the budget meeting. So January, February, March, the first 3 months remote, and then maybe book rooms for April, May. And then, I mean, our budget meeting is usually like May 12th. We might not need a June meeting. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But go ahead and perhaps book a room for April, May, and June.
Yeah, we have a meeting in April, and then we have two in May. The last one, it'd be instead of having a June one, because it's the 3rd and the 31st. The 3rd is right before, I think, right before the budget meeting. But I okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. Sorry, that was distracting. So let's definitely go for let's plan on having I have this feeling that that the April 6th meeting is too soon for the budget to be finished. I think that the Board of Finance is just finishing it up then. And then, but so we'll probably need to meet, so the 5th, excuse me, the May meeting on the 3rd will probably be our budget vote. And then I think the RTM meets shortly thereafter. The RTM meets like maybe the next week. Just look. Yeah, the RTM we vote on the 8th in the RTM. So I think we probably will have to meet on the 3rd. So maybe let's at least do the 3rd remote. Now, so would you like to meet in person then in the fall as well? Or do you want to have a remote?
I would say maybe meet the first or second time in the fall. I'm looking at the dates now. We only have September,
Maybe,
and I would do
usually
September in person, maybe, because people.
that's exactly what I'm thinking. September in person and maybe remote in October. Um, does that make sense for folks, what we've just said?
Sounds great.
Okay. Then I'll see what I can do. And if it doesn't work, with when I go to turn around and book it, then I'll let you guys know. And then I'll send out a revised list. So that will be probably, we will be going in person. Do you want to go in person in March, or you want to wait till April?
April.
I think April too. Okay. So let's do it there. And then, all right. Okay. Thank you. Now, the other thing is, I'm not going to do it now, but I want you to be thinking about it. Back when we were talking, maybe at our last meeting, about the revision of the different boards and things that perhaps that the Park and Rec would be following. So if you go back and look at that list of the grid that Jack Davis put together, so be thinking about what you would like to follow. In other words, there was a coastal um, commission there, coastal waters one. There's a couple different things. So be thinking about it, because if we split it up, and it doesn't mean you have to go to their meetings, but it just means if you either read their minutes or if they're on, sometimes there's Zoom and you can go, can attend, but not necessarily. Minutes work fine too, or Vimeos for that matter. But just be thinking about that, which one you might like to follow, because there's no sense in one person doing it all. That's for sure. But it's good to know what's going on in case there's something comes our way. It's good to know. I think by talking about the other things that we've talked, mostly the budget, it was interesting at that last commission meeting. Essentially, they reviewed the park assessment survey and the recommendations from the assessments that they got. And then you had Dan Biggs's presentation on Pear Tree, and all those things helped them. I think when they got to the budget, that's why they added the Pear Tree things there. But I will go through and read just the recommendations because I thought it was worthwhile on the assessments. You should add money in capital and maintenance budget for Pear Tree Beach. Use placeholder while Parks and Rec Department prices strategic recommendations. Consider socialization of Weed Beach plan to incorporate residential feedback and build support. Remove woodland parking. If you notice, they removed that from it because marginal benefit and demand. Add to capital Weed Beach backboard, cherry lawn pond restoration, McGuam patio and walkways, Tilly stonework. Add to and this is not necessarily for this year, but in that 6-year plan. Add to operating additional funds for invasive remediation, rotating paint schedule, generic maintenance to avoid disrepair. Identify how to strategically advance accessibility of our park. And discuss and prioritize one-off suggestions that were and items from the park tour minutes, of which I think that there's a whole bunch, but they were one-offs. So that's what they took away from it, which is pretty much reflected in the budget, I think. Anybody, any comments or anything? Okay. The other thing is that they briefly did at the Park and Rec meeting, at the commission meeting, was there was language proposed for the policy to codify the Weed Beach Winter Dog Program. So they'll vote on that, and which I think I sent to you. And they'll vote on that in December. And then there's also in the process of talking with the Darien Foundation about replacing the flagpole at Weed Beach that was destroyed in one of the storms. So I think they'll take care of that, at their next meeting. And I think that's, let me see. I was saying before the meeting started, but not everybody was on yet, that the gazebo was, that they had bids for replacing the gazebo roof. And so they awarded the bid to Gunner Roofing, and hoping work would begin in November. Well, it hasn't begun yet. So because I went over there and checked today, unfortunately. But the tennis courts look really good, really good.
They do, but we have to get that gazebo done. I mean, we approved that money so long ago. So thank you for double checking on that and keeping your thumb on it in terms of asking.
Yeah, I suspect it'll be after the winter now, but we'll see. We've kind of gone over most of the working groups with our other discussions, so I'm not gonna go there. I will need Patty some more detail from you about the about the playground group, about everybody that participated and all of that, because I'll be making this little speech for about the $22,000 gift for the next art meeting. So we'll liaise on that.
No problem.
And then the water fountains, I think they, the one went in little one went in at Pear Tree last summer, and the water fountain at McGuan Park was replaced on the deck, and the one at Tilly Pond was installed, but of course the water's off now. And the Cherry Lawn water fountain was delivered too late to put it in this year, but it will go in the spring. The paddle tennis court, they're going to need to draft an RFP so it can go out to bid sometime in December, hopefully. And that was it for the project updates. Always all sorts of events and things, a lot of fun stuff. Awfully busy. I was sorry to see that I wasn't here, but I was sorry to see that it rained for Santa coming, but you can't control the weather, can you? Anyway, anybody have anything else they want to add?
Just a shout out that on Sunday coming up is the old-fashioned Christmas at Tilly Pond that Parks and Rec is putting on from, I think it's 2:30 to 4:30, and they sing Christmas carols and they do hot chocolate and they do all this stuff for the kids, and it's a really nice afternoon. So hopefully, since the other one was more rainy, this will be nice, and they'd love to have us all there.
Yeah. Andy, are you in Paris?
I'm looking at that too.
Well, good for you, I hope. I know. Okay, guys. I don't have anything else. If nobody else has any other business, then I think I'll take a motion. Anybody have anything? I'm looking now just to see. Okay. I'll have it's what? Yeah, 20 to 9. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second it.
That was Diane. I
Sure.
saw Sandy's hand went up. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you. We'll see you, and I will write up a little blurb about our sense of the meeting for the commission. Okay.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Great work this
Thank
year.
Thank you.
Take care.
Everybody
Happy
have a Merry
holidays.
Christmas.
Have a good
Happy
holiday,
holidays.
Bye bye.
Bye.